Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
Nothing says welcome home like a hidden body in the basement. It's Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi, featuring former prosecutor and defense attorney Eric Faddis.
Well, it looks like they're having difficulty reining Diddy in from behind bars as well in this case. We're hearing, obviously, lots of complaints. There's some arguments going on right now about him having access to a laptop. What do we know about that? What do we know about, is he being treated differently behind bars? Is he getting access to the things that he needs? Some have said, he's being treated quite well in the state that he's in. But of course, it's not what, he's used to by any means.
In terms of whether he's being treated fairly, it certainly depends on who you ask. If you ask jail staff, they said, hey, that they're treating him like anybody else, and that they did, that cell raid that was just kind of a facility-wide search. It wasn't targeted to him. His attorneys say, no, he's being, selectively persecuted behind bars. But yeah, having his world flipped upside down in terms of his living conditions, that's got to be jarring for anybody. Yeah. And I imagine there's kind of an adjustment period, and Diddy is probably trying to adjust.
Obviously, he deserves his day in court. He deserves to argue his point. There's been some shade thrown towards him about his kids and the birthday video, and that it was all kind of a ploy to humanize Diddy, to make him look more like a family man, which I guess if you're in that situation, that's what you're going to want to do no matter what. But it's being looked at as a stunt and taking advantage of innocent victims. Is that something Diddy should continue doing despite the criticism? Will that ultimately be more of a boon to him trying to show himself in that light versus just being behind bars and keeping quiet?
It's tough. Diddy's got to do something to counter the social narrative, but he's got to also make sure that he doesn't make things worse for himself. And when you're using children, people sometimes see that as, oh, you're using these vulnerable people as pawns to try to further your own legal interests. I think that could be a problem. But on the other hand, who else can he enlist? I don't know anyone else who's come out really strongly in support of Diddy. And so maybe he just feels like this is a last resort. Who else can I ask but my family?
Well, I mean, there's so many cases where we see family stand up in support, and even if the person is quite a monster, so it's not shocking, I think, that you're going to see their kids or his kids come out and be behind him. It's their dad. It's all they know. I mean, to accept that some of these allegations are true is got to be somewhat mind-boggling for any of them. But here we sit, waiting for the trial date, probably more superseding indictments, though, before we actually hit trial. I know they're saying, was it early next year, supposedly, for it? But, I'm kind of guessing that's not going to take place. May 5th of 25 is when it is set for. How much more do you think we're going to see come down the pike here before the end of the year? Do you think we're going to see a slowdown in some of the Diddy allegations with the holidays coming about? Maybe wait till people are more in tune with what's going on, if that's the prosecution's goal, for people being aware of this slow Christmas, or are we going to see some bombshells drop before the holidays?
I think there are two developments that have bearing on the issue. One is that a little while back, not too long ago, after the case had been filed, the prosecutor reconvened the New York federal grand jury, which often means they're taking more evidence, which could mean more charges. On the other hand, the lead federal prosecutor in this district, I think it's the Southern District of New York, actually resigned recently. And so is that going to result in some kind of sea change? Or is defense going to somehow try to use that to their advantage, have new eyes looking at the case, and a new person with whom to negotiate?
That is making me wonder a little bit with all these changes that are coming about. I mean, you look over at the Menendez case. I mean, obviously it's a very different case, but you have a different AG over there that's taking a look at things. You get a new person in power. You get new investigators in power. They may have a different take on things. Hopefully they're there to take a look at the wrongdoings, and it's not like, oh, hey, your buddy's in power now. And in no way am I saying that. But could we have some dramatic shifts in this case? I mean, could this completely go in Diddy's direction if a new investigator, a new prosecutor comes in and says, think maybe we should back off.
Anytime there is a new prosecutor, there's a chance for the tides to turn. Like I said, there'll be a new person looking at the case, and that person might have different priorities for their office. They might have a different agenda that they want to pursue. They may have different types of crimes that they want to focus that office's resources on, although that office has massive resources. So could that be at least an opportunity for defense to try to gain some leverage, to try to turn the tide a little bit in their favor? Certainly they're going to try it.
I think the question everybody's going to be asking, because this cases like this, you have a lot of high profile people involved beyond Diddy that we do not know the identities of as of yet, is, what can happen between now and then, now in the court, in terms of that information coming out, in terms of information being stopped, in terms of who could be a roadblock. I don't know any of these people that are coming in yet. I mean, just from the surface, do you see anything here that potentially could be a roadblock coming up for any of the new characters added to this story?
Potentially, thinking about it, the original prosecutor who filed it, they had to know that, hey, there's a chance that these victims and witnesses, some of whom might be high profile, could be disclosed. I'm going to file this case anyway. I know that going in. When there's a new prosecutor who gets on it, they're kind of caught in the middle of that. And they didn't make that original decision. So they're kind of saying, hey, what am I going to do? How am I going to manage all of these privacy issues and moral issues and everything else? And so could the new prosecutor look at it and say, hey, I don't feel as strongly about this case as the original prosecutor. I'm going to do something different. I think that's entirely possible.
It's a lot to wrap one's mind around coming into a new job going, hey, by the way, here's this case you're dealing with, and it's already established. That's difficult for anyone, no matter what. So it'll be fascinating to see where this goes here as we get into the beginning of 2025. Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
You're neck deep in a dark, twisted tale, and just as the tension peaks, bam, a commercial about some miracle diet pill breaks the spell. It's like finding a fly in your soup after the first bite, but here's the fix. True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. You get to enjoy your crime stories without the junk, ad-free episodes, extended interviews that go beyond the surface, and early access to all the gruesome details. It's like swapping out a can of cheap beer for a glass of fine whiskey. So search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and keep the darkness flowing uninterrupted.